I'm gonna go over a session that I actually just mixed last night. I kind of did some touch-up stuff on it this morning, and yeah, we're just gonna walk through the mix, and I'll let you listen to it, and then I'll just kind of talk about what I did, and hopefully be able to get another one. But here it goes. This is the mix. So I'm gonna back this limiter up just a little bit, just because it don't need to be fucking slammed. And this is it.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing. Chopper by my nightstand just for easy sleeping. Cause that's the way that I was brought up. I might wake up to a problem. I've been trying to fight these demons. I've been hanging with some goblins. I've been looking forward to better things. But in this trap, like some things will never change. Talking trap.
So, as you can see, that's the mix right there. And actually, when I started this mix, which is pretty rare, I actually started this mix working on the verse, because for some reason, like when I record in my house, like the hook parts of the recording usually seem to come out a little better than the verse parts. I get a lot of room tones in the verse parts, so I don't know if that's because of the change in like energy, or I don't really know what that is, but so I've started actually kind of trying to start with the verse, but I ended up copy and pasting everything over to the hook side anyways, so we'll just listen to the hook for this, and we'll just kind of go through what we did. Let me move this around here. So basically what I started off with is I soloed the beat, and I soloed the lead vocal. And we'll just go ahead and turn all this off. I'll turn this master bus processing off, except for the limiter. And so this is what we started out with.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing.
So I mean the vocals not recorded terribly.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money.
That's the reason why it's sounding like that. I got the wrong shit off, but the vocal sounds pretty good recorded.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing.
So what I did is I just did a little bit of some cleanup, and just some light compression, mainly using the multi-band compression to kind of tame some of these room tones, and then a little bit of some saturation, not really a whole bunch, 0.2 in the saturation, and some analog EQ, and a couple stages of de-essing, because there's a couple, like I said, there's a lot of problem frequencies. My room's not perfectly treated. So yeah, and I've also got the vocal bust out on a mono bus, and I'm actually using that in this EQ. I've got the sidechain source set to exterior sidechain bus 4, which is what I'm sending the vocal to. So I'm sending the vocal untreated to the music bus, and scooping out a little bit of that space where the vocal's sitting at, and then processing the vocal. I mean, I guess you could have made this a mono track, did the processing, and then sent it out. I guess either way would work. I just always set up stereo buses. I don't really know why. That's just what I've always done. So anyway, so I got the vocal and the music kind of sitting where I wanted it together, like level wise. And then, like I said, I started doing some of these EQ things. So we're gonna bypass this on and off.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing. Chopper by my nightstand, just.
And we'll listen to that in context with music. this compression already on there, like when I was tracking the vocal, so that way it was already kind of sitting where it needed to sit, like volume wise. That's the reason why it seems low.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing. Chop up on my nightstand just for easy sleeping. Cause that's the way that I was brought up. I might wake up to a problem. I've been trying to fight these demons.
Yeah, so basically, we did a high pass filter, low cut filter, whatever you want to call it, at 90 hertz with a 24 dB per octave slope. I went through and just kind of searched for this. This is like some real, just like some boomy, just real muddy sounding area in the vocal.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing. I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing. Chopper by my nightstand.
Right. And then this frequency here is, it's kind of almost like a whisper, like type of frequency. And so I kind of took some of that out.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch.
It don't really do it justice in solo, but if I boost this up a little bit.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hand.
That shit right there just fucking kills me.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be.
And you'll notice here in the in the mid area, there's still like some tones, like it's probably, I don't know, probably around 1100, somewhere around there, 900.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing. Chopper by my nice.
So, I mean, I guess I could have dipped that out just a little bit, but I've noticed with vocals that are recorded in a room that's like super untreated. I mean, mine's not super untreated. I've got some panels up on the walls and shit, but it's just not, it's still reverberant in this room. And I noticed the more cuts that I do trying to take these frequencies out, the more like artifactual, like digital sounding the vocals sound. And I just don't really care for that too much. So then we went into the C4, and how I set this up was, I started out and I just kind of slammed the low end. I got it set at 150. I just slammed that shit all the way down with a 24 dB range, so like it won't reduce the frequency below 24 dB, but I mean 24 dB is like fucking below the chart here, so it doesn't matter. But I just slammed that down, and and then I just kind of moved it around to where I thought it sounded right.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money
I don't know if you can really hear that.
I be into getting bands, I be into beefing.
But it's just kind of, it's real like muffly sounding, so I wanted to take all of that out. And then I did the same thing with the highs, right? So I slammed the highs down and kind of moved them like back and forth. And keep in mind, I'm doing this while I'm listening to the music. But essentially, that's how I started with the C4. And then I moved to the mid band, kind of soloed that out.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven.
And that's where a lot of that room tone is coming in at, is around this area. So I just kind of pulled that down while I was listening to the music.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing. Chop up on my nightstand just for easy sleeping. Cause that's the way that I was brought up. I might wake up to a problem. I've been trying to fight.
And then I just kind of boosted up this little 3K range and then kind of reduced that down a little bit. I went then into a de-esser. I hit the sidechain mode on the de-esser. I just moved it.
these demons, I've been hanging with some goblins, I've been looking forward to better things. But in this trap life, some things will never change. I jumped in with a plan in this trap life. I really turned into the...
And then we went into the CQ here. The CQ, I rolled off some more around 300 with the shelf. I took out some around 3K. It was just like kind of like that whisper frequency up in the CQ. There's another one that kind of lives like an octave down. So like if you found a problem at 3K, there might be a little bit of a problem at 1500 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So like they kind of like it moves in cycles like that. And so the frequency here was like almost 4, and so I just kind of scrolled around and found this. I'll boost this up so you can hear what it's doing.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into...
Yep. And then I took at 12K and kind of gave it just a nice like 3 dB boost. And I split the EQ to where these filters actually come before all of this EQ. I rolled off at 100 and 1900 or 19,000. I think I'm doing a little bit of compression, not much, like barely kissing the compression. I've got it on a slow attack, about a 3-to-1 ratio, and it's just doing just a little bit of some compression, and then I dialed the gain back because we actually got pretty loud on that part.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing. Chopper by my knife. I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing. Chopper by my nightstand, just for easy.
And about this point is where I would bring in all the background vocals and the ad-libs, and I would kind of level those out, right? So I would turn the beat off and then turn the lead off, and I would start with my dub, and then, you know, move on down the line here. This is actually my dub. I've got a mod delay on this with a 10 millisecond delay on the right and no millisecond delay on the left. And essentially what that does is, if I turn this off, you'll hear that the vocal's mono.
I always need it, please believe it.
Let me turn these off.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll...
And then that just like spreads it completely out. So like the backing vocal to the lead is spread pretty far wide.
I always need it, please believe it.
I felt like it gave it like kind of a sense of some depth. And then I kind of mixed in the other background vocals around this dub, right? So I pulled in these highlights.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing. Chopper by my nightstand just for easy sleeping.
And that's got a little bit more reverb on it. A different sounding reverb is on it. I'm using the Echo Sphere. We got some modulation going on, so that's what kind of sounds like a flanger. It's got a little bit longer reverb time than the lead vocal, and a little bit longer pre-delay than the lead vocal. So I also got some modulation on it, a shorter pre-delay time, and a really short reverb time. Just to kind of give those things some difference, like to differentiate those, because the vocal sounds real like light and thin and kind of like not really sharp, but just like kind of like rigid. And these background vocals sound like warm and thick and just kind of like tucked underneath the vocal. I think sounds pretty nice.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven.
Right. And without the background vocals, we'll mute those real quick.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing. Chopper by my nightstand just for easy sleeping. Cause that's the way that I was brought up. I might wake up to a problem. I've been trying to fight these demons. I've been hanging with some goblins. I've been looking for the better thing.
Right. And then we got the ad-libs. I did a little bit of volume automation for the ad-libs. And anyways, so then getting back to that, then I came in with this limiter on the vocal. I just set the ceiling down a little bit, pulled the threshold down a little bit just to bring the vocals a little more forward and just kind of keep everything nice and tight and controlled. And that's the
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing. Chop up on my nightstand just for easy sleep.
And that was nothing but just boosting the saturation knob on the lo-fi. And on this EQ, I'm rolling off with a shelf at about 80, about 1600. I got a 0.4 dip, and that's it on this EQ.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing. Chop up on my nightstand just for easy sleeping. Cause that's the way that I was brought up. I might wake up to a problem. I've been trying to fight these demons. I've been hanging with some goblins.
And this was just another de-esser.
Will be.
It was just something I was kind of hearing through my monitors. I can't really hear it too much as a problem on the headphones, but through my monitors I was hearing that there's a bit of an issue, like a little bit of like a, I don't know, just a buildup of something kind of like real sharp sounding, and I just kind of sweeped around and found that and pulled that out. And then we got some parallel compression going on. This is going to give us a pretty good bit of volume, so I'm just pushing out to this compressor. I've got it set to a 20:1 ratio. I've got the input gain pushed up. I'm using the black version. I've got a relatively faster release and a slower attack, and so this is with and without that.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing. Chop up on my nightstand just for easy.
Yeah, so it just brings the vocal like a little bit further in, a little bit further up front. And then in order to get some of those room tones gone, I kind of drenched this thing with some reverb. Not really like super heavy, but
I always need it, please believe it. Yeah. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing. Chop up by my nightstand just for easy sleeping. Cause that's the way that I was brought up. I might wake up to a problem. I've been trying to fight these demons.
And then I've got some delays going on, some delay throws going on the vocal and on the ad-libs. And then I've just got this wide aux send, and that's basically just some EQ. I didn't even use the EQ. Probably roll off, I don't know, probably about there, maybe 1700, something like that. And then we have the doubler just with the middle channel gone. I'm using that a little more heavy on the hook than I am the verse. And then over here on the all vocals bus, we've got 8K boosted up about 4, 20K getting attenuated by about 1.6. We got a 5.1 bandwidth, and then at around 100 hertz, I'm actually attenuating almost 2 dB and then pushing back up about 1.5 dB. And then I pulled the vocals down by 3 dB altogether, just because of the volume difference there. And then I was still hearing some whispery, kind of harsh tones around 2K, between 2K and 3K. So I kind of dipped that out. And then this was just some sibilance that was bothering me with the monitors again. Then we went into a de-esser at about 8K. And over here on the master, we have some attenuation going on at 20. We've got a small little boost at 12K for bandwidth, and then we're attenuating some around 100. And this is what that sounds like.
I always need.
And I also had all this shit on the beat track. That's the reason why the beat track seems so loud, is because I'm actually trimming it down in this plugin. And then I'm boosting the entire mix over here on the mix window to kind of get it up to level, and then doing a little bit of some overdrive saturation through this NLS bus. So now everything will sound like it's kind of coming together. this is just smack attack. I just hit that 0.3, just kind of bring the transients of the kick and the clap out. And then this is just an EQ for some low pass filtering that I do later on in the beat. So now that everything is set, oh yeah, I also added some delay to this vocal. So the delay sounds like this.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be in the...
So I mean, you can hear it when you release the play button, but you can't really hear it in the mix. It's more for like a fill-in. It just kind of like feels good. It makes everything kind of just move back and forth. You know, kind of gives some modulation. We're hitting this with a pretty slow tech, medium release. I got the analog knob hit in with a 4:1 ratio, and I just pulled the threshold down until we were getting somewhere in here, about 3 dB of compression there. And then I scooped out some mids with, I scooped out a little bit of some low end with, but only in the middle, not the sides and not stereo. And then I'm actually boosting around 60 hertz where the sub lives in the mid, only in the middle channel, not in the stereo of the sides. And then I'm boosting up on the sides here around 1600 because that's where some of the problems in the vocal are. So even though I'm scooping some of those out, and this EQ around that same area, I wanted to push the sides up around the vocal, so that way, since I'm scooping the mids out and the vocals living there, that music, I don't want it just gone like that, those instruments, like that sound, that feel for that area. So I kind of just boosted up the sides to kind of pull that up around the vocal, if that makes sense. And then I'm doing just a little bit of some dynamic EQ here on the stereo of the track and the high end around 6K. So we'll bypass that in and out.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing. Chopper by my nightstand just for easy sleeping. Cause that's the way that I was brought up. I might wake up to a problem. I've been trying to fight these demons. I've been hanging with some goblins. I've been looking forward to better things. But in this trap, like some things will never change.
So I think that helps it there, and then we'll pull the compression in.
I always need it, please believe it. Soon as the money touch my hands, we'll be even Steven. I be into getting bands, y'all be into beefing. Chopper by my nightstand just for easy sleeping. Cause that's the way that I was brought up. I might wake up to a problem. I've been trying to fight these demons. I've been hanging with some goblins. I've been looking forward to better things. But in this trap, like some things will never change. Talking trap life, yeah, the trap life. I jumped in with a plan in this trap life. I really turned into the man in this trap life. You really wouldn't understand about this trap life. I'm talking trap life, yeah, the trap life. I done touched 100 grand in this trap life. I done really lost some friends to this trap life. Ain't no telling where I end in this trap life. I'm talking trap. I always need it, please believe it. Soon as
And that is how I mixed Trap Life by North Star Grimm. This was produced by Fortune Ave and mixed by me. So I'm actually gonna probably remix this entire track with the track out stems for the EP, but this is just the rough mix that I sent over to Grimm, so that way he had something to listen to while we're waiting to kind of get all the stuff on the EP recorded. So yeah, we got a pretty good bit of shit going on for the EP here. I think we got let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8, 9, 10, 11. We got 11 tracks already for the EP, so it's gonna be a big one. But other than that, that's it. That's how I mixed it. Let me know if you guys have any questions or anything like that.